everybody, I'm Christina. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're gonna talk about books. Before I start this video, I have to apologize for two things. First of all, the light. I know the light is not the best, but it's 3:15 in the afternoon, and I swear to you that half an hour ago it was sunny and the light was perfect, and then suddenly it started raining and now the light is awful. I can't believe this. So it's raining. I apologize for the noise. Today was my day that I had scheduled for filming and I didn't plan this. I'm sorry, and I don't know when I'm gonna have the time to film again, so I have to film right now. Are you done? Thank you. So in previous videos I told you that I was gonna make a Cinder&Ella review. And today, it's the day. I have all my notes in my computer and I will have them here because I have lots of things to say. And this video is gonna be very long. There will be spoilers, but they're gonna be later at the end of the video. And of course I'm gonna tell you when the spoilers are coming so you can forward the video if you haven't read this book. But this review is gonna be mainly non-spoilery because I feel like not many people have read this book and I want you to read it. So it's gonna be my way to convince you to read it so we can talk about it because I really want to talk about this book. So, I read Cinder&Ella twice in February. I loved this book and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So this is a story about Ella, a normal girl that runs a blog about movies and books, and she lives with her mom. Her father abandoned them when she was 7. In her birthday, right at the beginning of the book, Ella and her mother have this awful accident in which her mother dies. And Ella wakes up 3 weeks later with lots of disabilities. First of all, she is not able to walk properly. At the beginning she can't walk, but she goes through therapy and she is able to walk again, but she has to use a cane. Most of her body was burned, so she has all these awful scars. Also, her toes are deformed. Shut up. Since her skin is regenerating, she can't stretch her arm because if she does that, it's gonna rip open. And of course, this comes with lots of mental issues. Years before this happened, she met this guy, Cinder. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this is a Cinderella story. I think that with the name is basically, obvious, but just if you didn't pick up on that, this is a Cinderella story. So our prince is this Cinder guy that she met online and they've been best friends for 3 years and they are in love with each other, but they don't know anything about each other. They know everything, but they don't know their real names and they haven't seen pictures of each other. Well, Cinder has seen pictures of Ella because she has this blog, but she hasn't seen pictures of him. She doesn't know anything about him. Just the persona he portrays on her blog. And this prince, Cinder, is actually a famous movie star, but he wasn't famous when he met her. That's why he never told her about his life or his job. But now that he's famous, he doesn't want to tell her because he doesn't want Ella to treat him differently because he's in love with her. So my general thoughts about this book. I loved it. I recognize it's not perfect. I know it has many flaws. I know the writing is not the best. But I enjoyed reading it so much that I got past all of that. I didn't care. There were some times that I wanted to close the book and I was just like...
Well, not close the book, closed it up.
And I was just like, no, I'm not reading this anymore. Because there were lots of flaws, but... Cinder&Ella, I love them. But I do have to say this is very easy to read and is very addictive. It's a very different and refreshing Cinderella story. It reminded me of another Cinderella story because the one that is with Selena Gomez and Drusilla. Because yes, it's about a famous star with a normal person, you know that I love that trope. But at the same time it was very refreshing because first of all, the mother wasn't evil. The stepmother wasn't evil. The stepsisters weren't ugly, they weren't evil, they hated Ella, but they had a reason to hate her. It wasn't just like,
I'm spoiled and I don't like this girl, whatever.
No, they had an actual reason to hate Ella. And her father actually cared about her and was present in her life after the accident. I loved that here the antagonist wasn't the stepmother or the stepsisters. Yeah, the stepsisters did some stuff to Ella, but I feel the main villain would be herself and all her struggles, because she has to deal with a lot because of her accident. I loved Cinder&Ella. Cinder is a username, his actual name is Brian. And I love the... Still, I don't know if I would be able to handle that type of situation and that type of relationship, because Ella doesn't know him. Like, yes, she knows him, but she doesn't know who he is. And in my opinion, if you're talking with this person for 3 years and you don't know his name, you haven't seen a picture of him, that's kind of weird. I feel that's a scam. In real life, he would be some old pervert. I feel there are steps. Like, you met this person in the vlog or in a forum or somewhere. You like the same stuff, you talk, and at one point you add each other on social media. Right? You tell each other your real name, at least the first name, right? At some point you FaceTime or you Skype, but it's been 3 years and they still haven't seen each other. That's one of the things that threw me off, that I didn't like, because I was just like, this is very weird and improbable. Like, I had my suspension of disbelief, like, up here, because this is a fairy tale retelling. But at the same time, my brain was telling me, like, no, Christy, this is weird. But I loved Cinder&Ella's, like, their relationship and how they cared about each other. But I loved that they were in love, that they knew each other before the story even starts. It's not like, oh yeah, they met at the ball and then it was insta-love. No, here wasn't insta-love. They have been talking for 3 years. You're rooting for them to meet. You're like, you have to meet, come on. Because you're living in the same city now, because he lives in LA and she lives in LA.
At the beginning of the book, she lived in Boston? I don't remember. Oh my god, I don't remember. But anyway.
One of the things that actually made me love this book was that I actually felt for Ella. I felt all the consequences of her accident. I felt her pain. I felt her suffering. I felt her disabilities and how she had to deal with the world and her family's reaction. I felt all of that, everything related to the accident. So I keep saying in my reviews that I don't like stories that are like very dramatic and that I feel that they can't happen in real life. This story is very dramatic, but because something awful happened, the accident. It has a reason to be dramatic, it's not just because.
It's not like, oh, let's create, what else can happen to this character? Let's make her life miserable.
No, I mean, this incident happened and she has to deal with the consequences. I just wanted to hug this girl and be like, everything's gonna be okay. This book didn't have any magical factor, and that's okay. I feel like the magical aspect was actually fate or destiny and how it played its part in the life of Ella and Cinder or Brian, and how they finally met and how everything worked out perfectly. I loved the books that are mentioned in the book, because there's the series that Cinder and Ella love, and that's why they met, because of this book series. And this series are going to be turned into movies. The author tells us a little bit of what these books are about, and they are like, and the idea behind it and the characters are very interesting. I would love to read those books. Can we pull a Carrie on here? I feel like this was like the fan fiction that Kath was writing in Fangirl, and then later on it became an actual book. I want that with the Cinder Chronicles. I need that. Maybe not now. Maybe I feel like the writer needs to practice a little bit more. But maybe in a couple of years or 5 years, I would love to read those. Okay, so now what I didn't like about this book is told through 2 points of views. Ella and Cinder/Brian. And I felt, especially in the beginning, that both points of views were very similar. Also, I felt like Cinder was a girl's name at the beginning of the story. I was just like, oh, so this is a girl falling in love with another girl. And no, he was a guy. And actually the main character of the Cinder Chronicles is Cinder, Prince Cinder. And I was just like, maybe I'm ignorant, maybe I haven't been exposed to this name enough, but I feel like Cinder is a girl's name.
Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. Maybe it's a name that you can use either for women or men.
I don't know. Also, I didn't care about the other characters. The first time I read it, I just wanted to skip all of their parts. I I read them, but I just wanted to skip them. But I think it wasn't because the characters weren't developed or nothing like that. It's just like I was too invested in Cinder and Ella. So when I read it the second time, I actually appreciated them, and I appreciate their relationships with Ella. So the writing isn't the best. Actually, it's very telltale, no show, and I'm gonna give you some examples without spoiling the story. So, Ella says, in the first chapter, this is not a spoiler, she says, I woke up in the hospital 3 weeks later, after the accident. I'm like, and then she says like, oh, half of my body was burned, I couldn't walk, and I had scars all over my body, something like that. And I'm like,
but I want to see your reaction when you're looking at yourself for the first time, and I want to experience that with you. I want to know what happened, like how she felt when she finally woke up. When the doctor told her what happened, when she realized what was going to happen with her life, when she saw her father there. Come on, she hadn't seen her father since she was 7, and suddenly he was there, and I'm just supposed to just accept it? No, I wanted to know. I wanted to see I wanted to see her reactions.
I feel like the author just brushed over some very important scenes. Also, and this is not the author's problem, it's my problem, but I had a lot of creative writing classes at university, and my teacher basically brainwashed us on all the things that we shouldn't do when we were writing, and I feel this author did all of them, and every single, it's a curse, guys, it's a curse. So I was reading the book and I was just like, oh no, she did this, oh, she did this. I kept spotting all the things that my teacher told me not to do, and I was so frustrated because of that. So I'm gonna give you another example. In the first page, this is the first paragraph, or the second paragraph, and she says, I'm sort of smart, mostly A's without studying much.
You're not sort of smart if you don't study, and then you get only A's. Like, come on, just say you're smart. I get only A's. Yes, I'm smart.
And then she says, I'm sort of popular, not exactly the prom queen, but never without friends or a date for Saturday night either.
You are popular or you're not popular. That's it. Don't say that. Like, I'm this or no.
I want to think that the author did this because she's a teenager and that's why she talks this way, but right then and there, I was about to DNF the book. I was just like, oh no, I'm not reading this. But just because I knew it was my favorite trope, that is to know the famous person falling in love with the non-famous, and it was a Cinderella retelling, I was just like, Christy, breathe and keep writing. And by the way, she says that she has lots of friends, and we never see any of these friends after the accident. And I'm like, I don't feel it's real or believable that if you are friends with someone that had an accident, you don't ask, you don't visit, you don't call. Nobody called her. And I felt that was a very big plot hole of the story, because what kind of friends did you have if they don't visit you when you had an accident? Come on. Here I'm gonna enter the spoilery section of this review. So I'm gonna put the word spoiler here, and you can forward this video until the word is gone, and then you can keep watching this video if you haven't read this book. But if you haven't read it, go ahead, read it. So sweet. You have to read it. If you love fairy tale retellings, if you love chick lit, if you love love stories, you have to read it. And if you do, let me know in the comments and we can talk about it. But right now, I'm gonna tell you some spoilers, so go ahead, forward the video if you haven't read it. Okay? Okay. I love Brian and Ella's relationship, and I cried when she finally told him and showed him her scars, and she told him about her disabilities, and how rough her life was, and her relationship with her family, and everything that was happening at her school. I was crying because I loved these characters, and I felt every single thing that she was telling Brian. So that scene was just so heartbreaking. Oh my god, the part where the paparazzi were mobbing Cinder and Ella, and she was like, I can't walk. If they grab me, my skin can tear off. That was so stressful. And also the time when she actually stretched her arm and someone grabbed her and her skin actually opened, and I was like, oh my god, this girl can't get a break. Oh. I love the physical therapist. That character was funny and lovely, and he actually cared about Ella, and I love that he treated her like a normal human being, even though she had all these scars and she was so insecure of herself. And another thing that bothered me was that Vivian was an outcast because her parents were gay. And I'm thinking here, this could sound totally ignorant. I'm sorry if it does, but I have certain understanding of LA. I have certain perception of LA, and I feel LA wouldn't be the place where you will be discriminated because your parents are gay. I feel that would happen in any other town, like for example mine. But in LA, I felt it was a little bit weird, and I felt that was just like the author using any reason to get an outcast to be friends with Ella. So that was very out of place in my opinion, and also that the people said that, oh, if your parents are gay, you are gay as well. And I'm like, okay, this book was published in 2014. And I feel this generation wouldn't say that, or maybe I'm too hopeful and I would think that. But like maybe 10 years ago, or maybe when I was in school, people would say that. But right now, I don't feel that was true to the reality of our time and the place where the story takes place. So my final thoughts. This book has lots of flaws, but it's sweet, it's easy to read, it's very entertaining, and it's addictive. And it will make you feel stuff. You're gonna be happy, you're gonna be stressed, you're gonna be angry, you're gonna be sad. And that's it. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe depending on where you're watching this. And let me know in the comments, do you agree with any of the things that I've mentioned, or do you think that I've missed something? And if you haven't read it, maybe I convinced you, or maybe you have any other fairy tale retelling, or stories of where the famous person falls in love with the non-famous person that you can recommend me. I'm Christina, I make videos every Tuesday. See you later. Bye!